Okay, so I wanted to talk about scanning. Now, scanning in the final third is very, very important. And scanning is really just almost scanning the pitch with your eyes to find the player to pass to. This is what a lot of people struggle with, and I don't see that many tutorials on them. In fact, if you see players in real life, I would say some of the best players inside the game, they almost have how we play the game FC, a kind of in their head, they have a picture of what's around them. And some of the best players, they scan multiple times just before receiving the ball, looking left, looking right, understanding every aspect of the pitch. Here's a very good example of one of the best players ever, Lionel Messi, and the way he scans. And as you can see, before the ball is being received, he's scanning all the pitch. Now, I know we're talking about FC in particular here, but the top tier players of real life football are always scanning. The last 10 seconds of scanning multiple times, six, seven, eight times, and even more. So scanning is so important, but this can be taken to FC very easily. So the key with scanning is that the benefit you do have is you have the view of your eye, your one brain controlling 11 players. Now, the problem is with a tele broadcast camera angle, as I mentioned before, you can, let's say for example, blue is tele broadcast, right? The thing is, or with telly, whatever you want to call it, you can't see the entire pitch. Whereas, for example, if you've got, for example, the co-op camera angle, you could virtually see the entire pitch. So that is why, even in a camera angle settings video, no matter what camera angle you use, it's better to use co-op. There's other benefits like the camera is straight, it's easier for you to shoot and easier for you to defend after you get used to it. But realistically, it's all about perception. The co-op camera allows you to see more. And sometimes when the ball's on the bottom side of the pitch, you don't know what's going on the top. You might not see a second striker that's available. So the camera angles are very, very important. The wider angle view, the better ability you have to scan the pitch, even peripherally. Sometimes, for example, you could be the team in red and you could be defending. Let's say, for example, you happen to win the ball back. Let's just say the ball gets passed to you. Again, if we go back, let's just say we said hypothetically speaking, the tele broadcast camera angle, you can only see this much. But if you're the co-op camera angle, you could see the strike up front. This will allow you to make better decisions. So even if you think you can't see it, peripherally you can. And of course, you can always glance down to the bottom radar, but this happens at a high level. When you glance at the radar, you can get used to using a zoomed in camera angle like telebroadcast, and you can always glance down at the radar. But when you're trying to learn the game and you're not that top tier player that trusts yourself without looking, this is where things get difficult. The way to know if you can play the game with looking at the radar is look at the radar the entire time and just play the game. I mean, just focus on the radar and see if you can get the ball from one side of the pitch to the other half without losing the ball. If you can, then in my opinion, you got a very good understanding of the basics of the game and you're at a very good level where you don't need to see the pitch, but you can see the radar. Now, for most people, I understand that is quite difficult. And that is why I wanted to go over, you saw when Messi was scanning the ball. When do you scan? Now, the key is to scan when you're not holding possession of the ball. Because when you have possession of the ball at this point, when you try to scan the situation, it's too late. This is what everyone does. So when the ball, for example, let's say you want to pass the ball to player number one, that's the main striker you want to pass the ball to. By the time you get the ball with player number two, and then you start scanning, your opponent has already identified the danger, and most competent opponents will understand that the ball is going to go straight away to the striker, and they will immediately close out that passing lane. So you have to scan before that, even before you get the ball, because when you're scanning now, it's too late. Of course, you can still scan, but it's too late. What you should be scanning is as soon as the ball has left the person's foot. So let's say, for example, you're controlling player number three and you're going to ground past the player number two, and the ball's going to go through this trajectory, okay? As soon as you press the X button and the ball has left the foot, that is your key to start scanning. Because then you can see, for example, oh, okay, player number one is available. I know I can pass the ball to him. And then you can get the ball straight away. And then you can do, for example, a first time pass, get the ball to him, or you can take a touch and make a pass. But you will know the situation because you will scan, okay, player one is available. I know if I take too long, then player number five is going to come in. So I got to make a first time pass. And that is why scanning at this point is the most important. But also, it makes the most sense. Because when you have the ball at your feet, you can try to pre-scan, but I think this is too early. And also, what if there's an opponent next to you? There's a good potential you could lose the ball because you're trying to scan the situation and the surroundings. So you need to make sure that you're scanning at a point when the ball is traveling and you can't do anything, because from this point, from point A to point B, you can't do anything. You can move your controller left, right, up, down. You can move it anything you want. From the ball going from this, just before you take a first touch, you can't do anything with your controller. You can't manipulate your players. You can't do anything. But what you can do is you can scan the pitch. I'm going to show you a video with an eye tracker and give you a bit of an example. But on a high level, what people do is they scan early. They see, for example, oh, my striker is not in a good place. So let's say you're making a ground pass from player number 3 to player number 2. You make the X or A ground pass if you're on Xbox. You make that pass, and then at this period of time, I will then scan this area. Okay, player 1 is there, but I need player 1 to be up against my backline, and that is when I press the L1 button. So while the ball is moving, I'm scanning the situation, looking roughly in this region, and then, for example, I may press on my controller the L1 button plus the left analog stick to the left-hand side to push player number 1 to go forward. That way, when I get the ball to my feet, I can then make the pass. So scanning is very, very important. So the best time to scan is when the ball is traversing. So in general, let's say, for example, especially if you have the ball and you're making a pass, as soon as that pass has left your foot, that's your time to scan. So what I would normally do is, let's say, for example, I have a player here, and let's just say in a hypothetical example, want to pass the ball to player number 3 from 1 to 2 to 3. Okay, so 1 to 2 to 3. So what I'll do is, for example, here at number 1, then I'll make the pass. Then here I would start, at this point, I will start scanning the situation. I'll start looking, okay, who's available, where's the player, and then I would see where the player is. I'll judge where my opponent is. And just before I'm about to hit the ball again, or just before the ball is coming to my feet, essentially, where I'm about to take the first touch, then I then focus on the player again. So as you can see, I focus on the player first. I make the pass. Then when the pass is being made, then I start scanning the situation, seeing where number 3 is relative to my opponent. Can I make the pass? Can I not make the pass? If I can't make the pass, I may look at another situation and scan that area. And then just before the ball is going to get to me, then I start looking again at player number 2, and I get ready to take my first touch. And that is the perfect time to scan. It takes some testing and a lot of practice, but just get into the habit. When the ball is traversing, always scan the situation. As I said, with the co-op camera angle, it should be very much easier to scan the surroundings. I'm going to go through a video very, very soon where I show you an eye tracker and I show you exactly what I'm doing and exactly what I'm looking for. I just wanted to add this at the end. This is actually a video from a long time ago now, or a few years ago, from FIFA 21, almost 5 years ago. But I just wanted to show you the same principle in an older game. I just wanted to show you how it's always been the same thing. So you can see when the ball gets traversed, you can see, look here, have a look at where my eyes are glancing. So you see when I get the ball here, I make that touch first, and you can see this little circle glow. That is my eyesight. You can barely see it, but just about, that is my eyesight. So you can see when I'm looking at Neymar. Then once I've cleared the defender and I pass the ball away, now the ball is traversing. Now I can glance. So I know roughly there's no one around me. I'm having a quick look. There's no one around me. Then straight away I'm looking, okay, where can I pass the ball to? And this is what I meant by when the ball is traversing, I can analyze. So for example, here I can be like, okay, I've got a situation available. Who can I pass the ball to? There isn't that many options, to be honest, but I know I could pass the ball back into the middle. I've got this player available, maybe Neymar, and then I've got this player over here, and I know my opponent's actually controlling this player. So I haven't got that many options, but you can see where the ball is traversing, I am scanning. Then when I get the ball again, my eyes are taking a touch, and the reason why it was a bit delayed, I didn't go a bit earlier, is I knew that I had loads of space available. So this, I'm trying to say, scanning takes into account so many things when you get used to it. I know there's no one next to me, so I can afford to look for a bit longer. Quick glance there to see my touch. I'm looking at potency. I'm not even looking at the ball because I trust myself. There's no one around me. I know I can play. I'm just looking at the strikers. Then I can't make the pass. Then I'm realizing, okay, who else can I pass the ball to? I'm looking down at Mbappe, looking a bit at the radar, and I'm rotating the ball around. You see, I'm trying to find that gap. And in FIFA 21, the game was much faster. So you can see I'm trying to find the gap, and then I get the ball to the striker. Then you can see I glance upwards, end up doing a first time fake shot, and end up taking my opponent. But you can see we bring it back just about here. You see, I couldn't pass the ball into the middle. I had to look down. I had to find a gap. I did. And you can see, look here, I'm scanning. And you see, when you get to a better level, higher level, you can see how I scan. I know there's no one next to Renato Sanchez here, so I can pass the ball. And I can still scan during that period. And you can see I'm watching my opponent come close to me. And then you can see here, I make the pass. Then you see, look, as soon as I made the pass, look, as you can see, I'm roughly looking at my player. I know that I got space in front of me. So my touch is obviously going to be in this vicinity over here, taking a touch away. Taking a touch away. Then I'm looking at who do I have support. I've got no one, but I can see there's a player over here. So what I'm doing here is have a look on the controller. I'm pressing, as I mentioned in the theory just before this, L1, and I use my left analog stick upwards. So I'm saying I want you, the player above me, to make a run in behind. Because for them being this far away, it's not helping me. So you can see I press the L1 button. They start making a run. Then I get the ball. Then I'm still focusing on the play because I've taken the touch away, you see? I trusted myself, got the ball, did a skill move upwards, and then took the ball. But you can see in that final third, just want to go one last time, that very few, the last sections of play, right? So you can see the ball. Ball gets released. I start scanning because I can't do anything in this period, okay? I see roughly there's a player next to me, but I know if I take a touch away and this player is coming down, I'm fine. So you can see I trigger that player upwards, and I know my opponent's not going to get the ball. My opponent's made a grand mistake, but they recovered in time. So I'm still looking roughly. I'm switching between these very, very quickly. Then I see that player. I know I've taken that touch away. So I don't even look at Dembele anymore because I know that I've taken that touch away. The ball is safe. My opponent is behind me. If my opponent was over here, I'll be looking at this player here. But you can see I'm looking upwards. I'm triggering that player. I know where they are. And you can see, look, by instinct, I'm not even looking at them, but I'm passing the ball. And that way I know at this point, I got to make a decision, either do a touch. I go here with a fake shot, simple fake shot, as you would see nowadays. And then I've gone for the goal. I had a quick glance at the goalkeeper, and then I went for the goal. So that is the importance of scanning. Understanding the surroundings and almost having a mental picture at all times where all the players are on the pitch. It's the most important thing, not just in a final third, but that's what helps the most. But it's for everything in general. Taking a touch away, keeping the ball safe. These are all important parts of the game.